So I have to give the backstory so you can kind of understand the lead up to moving. What's up, me crew? It's your girl. As you can see, today is going to be a story time. I always get asked, why did you move from California? Why did you move from California? Why did you move? So, I'm going to be answering that in this video once and for all. So, um, before we do that, if you are not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe and like and share and comment if you have a comment or questions or whatever. So, just get down to it. So I have to give the backstory so you can kind of understand the lead up to moving. All right, so basically, right before I moved to California, I'm gonna say like a year, there were certain like events that were happening throughout my life that were it was giving me signs that like you're about to move to California. I am a firm believer in like the universe, and there you get signs when things are about to happen in your life. You just really have to be in tune with yourself for one, and just be in tune with some higher power or whoever you believe in. So I just believe you get signs, right? So the first sign was I went to California on business, right? And I stayed in Concord. Let me fix my shirt, y'all. All right. So I went to California on business and I stayed in Concord. I stayed at the Hilton, and this was my first time going to California. So of course, like I didn't really know my way around or anything. I stayed right there in Concord. Actually, no, I went to San Francisco and kind of walked around San Francisco, checked that out. But for the most part, I was in Concord, and so I got acquainted with that area pretty well. Well, when I got my first job to California, when I finally moved there, my first job was in Concord. And guess what hotel it was across the street from? The Hilton. The same exact hotel that I stayed in when I was out there before. So when I went to my job the first day, and I'm looking around and I'm like, dang, this area looks so familiar. Now, I knew I had been to Concord before, but I didn't realize I was like literally on the same street. I was right across because it had been almost like a year or so. So I'm looking across the street and then I see the Hilton, and I'm just like, what? My job is directly across the street from where I was staying at. So, of course, that was my first sign. Moving on, my second sign. So I was in Mississippi on Keesler Air Force Base, and I was grocery shopping. So I see this girl that walks by, and it's this beautiful woman. She's like, the crazy thing is, I don't think I look like anybody, but I always get told I look like certain people. But this woman, I felt like we looked just alike. It was so crazy. So we were same skin complexion, same height, same like body build, everything. And what really caught my attention about this woman is that her hair was just so beautiful. It was like in this natural curly state. And I wanted to know what type of products she used, because it looked like it was like all her hair, and I just wanted to know, like, dang, what you use, girl, your hair is popping. So I approached her and we were just talking and she was telling me about her hair and stuff, and she said, "Oh yeah, my name is Maisha and I'm from California." And she was from the Bay Area. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mynisha. Her name was Maisha, and she was from the Bay Area. I had just came from the Bay Area a couple of months prior in Concord, right? So at that moment, I didn't really put it all together, but later on I did. So the girl and I, we exchanged numbers and we said we were gonna hang out. We never hung out, whatever. So fast forward a couple of months after I met the girl, the woman, I reconnected with my old friend who is my ex. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna say his name, but I reconnected with my ex, and we went to elementary school together, middle school together. Was it? Did we go to middle school together? But we knew each other as like kids, right? And he would like hit me up throughout the years, just like, "Oh, happy birthday, happy holidays," stuff like that. But it was never like anything. Nothing came from it. So it was really like just an old friend. So when we reconnected, he was telling me that he was going to be in town in Mississippi and he wanted to see me just to hang out. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he later tells me that he lives in California. Did not know that. As a matter of fact, go back to the first sign that I told you about when I was out in California on business. He actually seen that I was in California on like social media or something, and he hit me up and was like, "Hey, you out here? We should link up, da 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 da." But at that time, like, we didn't link up, but I didn't know he lived in California. I just thought we just happened to be in California at the same time. And because I didn't really like respond to his messages like that, well, I did respond, but we didn't hang out. So I didn't really get a lot of information from him to know that he lived in California. I was assuming we were just there at the same time, right? So okay, fast forward. When we reconnected and he told me he lived in California, that's when it clicked that all these different signs kind of like made sense to me, right? So we started hanging out and I flew out there to visit and we started dating. So that's what got me to California. When I started like putting all those signs together, I just took it as God wants me to really be in California. So let me get my butt up and pack and move to California, right? So now I'm going to dive into kind of the relationship. I'm not going to tell y'all too much. Disclaimer, I've already talked to my ex and he's okay with me doing this video. I'm not, and let me say this. He and I are in a really good space. We're not back together, but we're in a really good space. Like, I have so much love and respect for him. He has love and respect for me. And I think that we're just in a really good space right now, right? So it's okay that I'm gonna share some details of our relationship. When we got together, before I moved out there, I did see some red flags before I moved. I seen some signs that I just ignored. I completely ignored because number one, I'm a social worker, so I felt like they were things that I could deal with. But one thing I quickly learned was dealing with certain things in your professional life is so different than dealing with them in your personal life, right? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you some of the signs that I seen. So one was the way that he communicated with me. I didn't necessarily like the way he would talk at me. It wasn't like he was talking to me or we were just both engaging in a back and forth conversation. It was more of him just like, yeah, 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 yeah. Or at least that's how it felt to me. Because I don't think that was ever his intention to talk down to me or talk at me. But that's how it came off to me. So that was a red flag to me, the communication part of it all. Another red flag, he's adopted. He was adopted out of the system. And so he never met his mom, his biological mom. He's never met his biological father. And why that was a red flag, because I felt like, so I've dealt with people in my professional life who has gone through that same type of situation. You know, they don't know who their birth parents are. They get adopted out of the system. A lot of other issues come with that. Attachment issues, abandonment issues, things like that. And I've seen just how it affects people. And I thought, well, I'm a social worker. I can handle it. Well, I ignored a lot of the things that kind of bothered me in a way. And I was just like, we'll get past it it'll be okay. So ended up getting a job in California, and moved out there, and immediately I want to say, if I'm being honest, I immediately felt like it was a mistake. But at the same time, there was a big part of me that didn't want to give up, and I really wanted to give this relationship a fighting chance, because at heart, I knew he was a really, really good man, but I just seen that this was going to be a struggle. So number one, aside from things that he had going on with his personal life that bled into our relationship, you got to keep in mind that I was in a new state. I didn't have any family in California. Well, I had, like, my grandmother introduced me to some family members out there, but I didn't know them. Like, that was my first time actually meeting them. But I didn't know them, so it was like I didn't have family out there, because there were people I had never met before. So I'm in a new state. I don't really have family per se. I don't have any friends out there. I didn't have any friends out there. I'm at a new job. And everything, I'm in a new relationship. Everything was new to me. So trying to adjust to so much so quickly was very, very stressful. It was just so many things that I had to get used to. The traffic in California, finding my way around. So when I got there, he was used to living a certain lifestyle. He was used to just going and coming as he pleased, because he was a single guy, right? And if he wanted to pick up extra shifts, he could pick up extra shifts. If he wanted to work extra late, he could. He didn't have anybody to come home to. So I got that part of it. I got it. But when I got there, when I got to California and we moved together, I just automatically thought he would turn that off and focus on me more. And not saying he didn't focus on me at all. I think as well as it was an adjustment for me, it was an adjustment for him to now be with somebody, having somebody, you know, to come home to, and just adjusting your whole life, right? When I first got there, I felt very alone because he was working a lot and I didn't have anybody, and I was just like just have a person to talk about work, to talk about just anything. And then it's like, you know how it is when you make a jump like that, you don't want to reach out to people because you don't want people to be like, she went to California and da 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 da, it ain't working out for her, da da da. At first I was worried about stuff like that. What people would say about me, it's not working out, da 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 da. You know what I mean? He eventually, stopped working as much, and he was coming home a little bit more. But then there were just other things in our relationship that would cause so much tension between us. And I think eventually it got to a point in our relationship where I wasn't receiving what I needed to give him what he needed. And probably vice versa. I don't know. I can't really speak for him. But I felt like I was giving. When I say giving, I don't mean like financially. I mean like giving emotionally and just being supportive. And I felt like I wasn't getting that love and support that I needed. And I think for him, one of the biggest things that we used to always kind of get into it, or not get into it about, but we just really didn't see eye to eye. When he moved to California, it was a little different for him. He didn't move into a relationship. He moved in with a friend, yes, and it was a big adjustment for him. I mean, anybody moving to California, I don't care where you live in the world, California is just different. And I don't mean different in a bad way. I just mean like it's just different. Like it's different. So when he moved to California, it wasn't like, oh, I gotta adjust to being with this person. I gotta adjust to find my way. I gotta find my way around. It was him by himself. It is a whole different dynamic when you are living with somebody and then you gotta come home and y'all fighting and y'all not getting along, and it's just, you feel like you have no peace. So eventually that's what it became. There was no peace for me. I would go out, go to work, fight that battle, and I felt like I was coming home and I was fighting another battle. And for me, I feel like when you leave home, you go fight your battle, you go fight with your coworkers, with life in general, And I feel like when you come home, that's your safe haven. You're coming home to your partner. You're coming home to your teammate. You're coming home to your support system. You're coming home to the one place you can turn off everything and just relax. And it got to the point where I didn't feel that. I felt we would argue or disagree on almost everything. That's what it felt like to me. So I was no longer at peace anymore. I didn't feel safe. And not physically safe, but my heart didn't feel safe. My emotions didn't feel safe. I didn't even feel safe to be just who I am as a person. And what I mean by that is I'm a naturally like goofy person. I'm naturally just spontaneous and witty, and that's who I am. He's more of straightforward, serious. Not saying he doesn't know how to have a good time, but I'm more of the fun one. And so I just felt like I couldn't be myself. And I'm just like, okay, no, this is not working for me. I tried and I tried and I tried, and I kept putting my feelings per se on the back burner for the sake of trying to save whatever we had going on. But then I'm like, how am I able to save it if I'm putting my feelings, one of the persons that's in it, like if I'm not taking care of my feelings, how can I save anything? It got to the point where I felt like we couldn't talk because we weren't listening to each other to comprehend what we were saying. We were listening to each other to respond. when the communication, I feel, is lost in the relationship, when people aren't listening to comprehend and to understand and to find a solution, more so listening to hear when the other person stops speaking so they can respond, then you're not getting anywhere. So when it got to that point where I felt like my peace had been compromised, and I just felt I felt the friend in him that I had was no longer, like, it was vanishing. Forget the relationship, like I feel like my friend is not even there anymore. Ooh, getting emotional talking about it. At that point, I had to go because I just wasn't happy. And life is so short, and you should never stay somewhere where you're not happy. Now, I don't want to make it seem like he was abusive or anything like that. I just think that there were a lot of issues that he had to deal with. I had my own issues that I didn't even realize until I moved there. But I feel like we had a lot of stuff that we needed to work on separately before we can continue whatever we had going on, because the longer or the more we tried to move forward, we just kept hitting a brick wall over and over again. And it just wasn't going anywhere. So one morning, I woke up and I was just like, I gotta go. And at that point, I didn't care if people laughed at me because I was moving back to Mississippi. I didn't care what anybody thought, because at that point, I felt like I was losing myself. And I was ready to make whatever transition I needed to make in my life to get me back, because I had gave so much of me to this situation that I had with him. So, and to be fair to him, I know he tried. But like I said, until as individuals you address your own problems and your own traumas, you can't make this work. You know what I mean? So I had to make that decision to leave. And I think it was the best decision that I made for us. Whether he and I ever get back together or we just remain friends, whatever we're ever going to become, I feel like it's going to be greater than what we had in the past, because we've had the time to work on us and even heal from the situation that we had. Because honestly, there was a healing process from being in that situation. It wasn't just I needed to work on my own problems. I needed to heal from that as well. And so now we communicate so much better, just as friends, just as, like, you know what I'm saying? Just checking in. Hey, how you doing? There's more of an understanding from each person's point of view. We can actually hear each other now. And y'all, he's a great guy. A really great guy. I have not one bad thing to say about him. I just think that everything happens in life for a reason. And it served us both well to go through that situation and to break apart. And now we're in a better place. So that is why I left California. And for those of you who are thinking, well, couldn't you have just stayed and y'all broken up? Y'all could have broke up and you got your own place. I could have, but my thing was I had got to such a broken place that I needed to be around family to heal, to just move forward. Anybody out there, any woman out there who has been in that relationship where you just lose yourself, you know what I mean. Sometimes you need someone to uplift you, and my family always, they do it for me. So I think had I stayed out there and I just tried to grind it out by myself, I wasn't in that right state of mind to do that. I could have tried to and pushed forward, but I just don't think I wasn't there. I needed to go back. I needed to regroup. I needed to just get myself together, period. And even though I'm in a way better place, that was going on 3 years now. Even though I'm in a way better place, I didn't go back to California because honestly, everything that I was doing out in California, I started acting, I started doing modeling gigs and stuff like that. But everything that I was doing out in California, I pretty much do out here in Atlanta. So, not saying that I would never go back to California, but I was like, why not go to Atlanta? I've lived here before and I pretty much, like it out here. And then the food too. I'm a foodie, so I love the food out here. So for everybody who was asking me, or if you didn't ask and maybe you're just wondering because you didn't see pictures of him anymore, whatever the case may be, that is why I moved, in a nutshell. But in that, I want to say, no matter what, male or female, you have to follow your heart. And at the end of the day, you have to save some of you for you. And you have to do what makes you happy. It does not matter what the other person wants. If it's not right for you, it's time to make a move. All right, guys. Make sure you like, comment, of course, subscribe. Thanks for hanging with me. I'll see y'all next time.